Yes. Very good. Lucky we have him.
No one else is good.
Good evening, everyone. We're about to get started. Thank you all for joining us tonight for our 2018 Rotary Induction. My name is Amanda Kelly, and I will be your MC this evening. Thank you. So some of you may have seen me on stage a couple of months ago at the concert. This is not that. And I'm very thankful that this is not that. Everyone's been saying, you know, what a great event that was. That took hours and hours and hours of work. So I'm very grateful that tonight this is a small, intimate group of friends, and we are all here for the same reason. And that reason is whether we work for a nonprofit, a bank, a school, a law office, an insurance company, a town, or we're retired, we are all here because we're part of the Putnam Rotary Club, and we're all here for the community and for the mission of the Putnam Rotary Club, which is service above self. So first of all, I'd like to give all of us in the room a round of applause. So tonight we come together to recognize our Paul Harris Fellows, and in addition to that, we will be recognizing our outgoing Rotary Chair, who is Rick Place, and our incoming Rotary Chair, John Miller. And I can assure you, anyone who knows Rick Place, he is thrilled to be handing the gavel over to Joe. So tonight is kind of the pinnacle of Rick's year in office, so to speak. So we'll be celebrating that, and thank you all for joining us for that. I'm going to turn it over to Rachel Johnston for our invocation.
Thank you, Amanda. For tonight's invocation, I'd like to share a few quotes with some slight modifications from a fellow Rotarian, Joseph Coombs of Washington, that I found to be inspirational. As we begin this new year in the Putnam Rotary history books, let us stay focused on the objectives we have for the world: peace, tranquility, a true brotherhood of man, freedom from hunger, from oppression, from sickness, the freedom to choose our own destinies. We reaffirm our commitment to our simple Rotary four-way test for all we do and support. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Let us reaffirm our commitment to high ethics in all we do. And let us give thanks for all the blessings, opportunities, and responsibilities that befall us as Rotarians. We continue in this new Rotary year and support our new leadership with optimism, renewed energy, and a commitment to service above self. Amen.
Amen. Nice job.
Thank you, Rachel, and what a blessing it is to be a part of this community in northeastern Connecticut. I've had the opportunity to work in many different communities, both in Rhode Island and Connecticut, and this is by far the best community I have ever had the opportunity to really be a part of, not just to work in. So, and everyone that's sitting here absolutely knows that, hands down. So we're gonna do a little toast now, and I'd like to invite Rick and John to come on up because I'm gonna toast them now. So Rick and John, come on up.
Should I get my Bud Light?
No. So seeing how I'm inviting Rick and John up here, and ultimately they'll be toasting each other. This is for you, Rick, and this is for you, John. So I'd like to invite you all to raise a glass to toast Rick and John with me this evening. Being Rotary Chair is a huge, huge honor. The amount of work that goes into being Rotary Chair is immense, between all of the meetings, the committee meetings, the board meetings, all of the events, Rotary Golf Tournament, and everything else that we have going on, the fundraisers that we have, on and on and on and on. And Rick, you've done it all. You've been there for it all, and for that, we thank you. And John, get ready.
That's all they need to do.
So, cheers. Cheers. Thank you. Had to, absolutely had. We're going from Bud Light to Miller Light. That's a little internal joke. Bud Light to Miller Light.
Switch it over.
Exactly. So at this time, dinner will be coming out, and I invite you all to enjoy dinner, and we'll be back with the rest of the program shortly. Thank you.
Right. It's very different.
Hello. I should pull out my camp voice, and a hush fell over the crowd. We do all kinds of fun activities with the camp kids at the YMCA to try to get them to be quiet and refocus. So I very potentially am going to get in big trouble for this next part because I know that this individual does not know that this is about to happen. But Ron Kadir, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to start out our meeting for us? Ron Kadir, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to appreciate that you're doing a Pledge of Allegiance, Amanda. I think that's great. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ron. And we all know Ron needs no introduction. So I hope everyone enjoyed dinner. The fake stuffed lobster was fantastic. Thank you to our friends at Woodstock Inn. And hopefully, Kathy and Richard, you've been able to relax and enjoy as well. So thank you. So a couple of people to recognize here before we move into the formal part of our meeting this evening. We do have our incoming and outgoing Rotaract chairs here this evening. I'd like to recognize Andrew Morrison. Andrew, if you could stand, please. Way in the back. Thank you for your service. And incoming Rotaract president is Jacqueline Thurlow. Jacqueline? Again, thank you. Additionally, we are honored to have with us a couple of very well-traveled young ladies. We have two Rotary International students here with us. Kira Monahan. Go ahead and stand, Kira. Kira lives here in Woodstock, and she just got back from a year in Italy, and she is now fluent in Italian. And those of us that are part of the Putnam Rotary Club, Shiho really needs no introduction, but Shiho has been with us from Japan for the entire year, and her term here is very sadly coming to an end in a few short weeks. So we're not even going to talk about that because I know we're all going to be really sad about that. But Shiho, I know I speak for myself and everyone here. We have so enjoyed having you as a part of our club this year. Thank you. And it is my pleasure to call up Paul Pecora to introduce our Paul Harris Fellows. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Let me know if you can't hear me, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Richard? Kathy? Over the top. Dinner was terrific. Thank you very much. Good to see you all, many friends here tonight. The Paul Harris Fellow is named for the Chicago attorney who formed the Rotary Club of Chicago, one of the world's first service organizations. The club was formed in 1905 as a place where professionals with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas and form meaningful, lifelong friendships. Rotary's name came from the group's early practice of rotating meetings among the offices of each member. The Rotary Foundation is a nonprofit corporation that supports the efforts of Rotary International to achieve world peace and understanding through international humanitarian, educational, and cultural exchange programs. The foundation was created in 1917 by Arch C. Klumpf, Rotary International's sixth president, as an endowment fund for Rotary to, quote-unquote, do good in the world. It has grown from an initial contribution of $26.50 to more than $1 million, and is listed this year as number 56 on the Forbes list of 100 largest U.S. charities. Once a year, the Putnam Rotary Club recognizes individuals, members and non-members, who we consider to be extraordinary citizens and exceptional contributors to their club and or community, who consistently show equal amounts of respect and dignity to all people, and who may be characterized as persons of action and integrity. This is service above self personified. In honor of their work, a $1,000 contribution is made in each of their names to the Rotary Foundation of Rotary International. Tonight, we have the pleasure of recognizing 5 estimable and inimitable individuals.
Spell it, Paul. Spell it.
Oh, you're feeling it, baby.
I am. I got this, son. All right. Well, you'll find out. I first want to take a moment to recognize and thank my committee members, our committee members, because it's been a pleasure and an honor to serve on this committee. Steve Adams, Pam Brown, Randy Shmura, Bob Fournier, Dick Loomis, Jeff Rawson, and Delta Berry for their persistent efforts and valuable contributions throughout this really rather lengthy selection process. This took a while this year. So it's my pleasure to introduce our first presenter and a good friend of mine, Jeffrey Rawson. Like I said, good friend.
Today.
Can everybody hear me okay? My wife, Jessica, can you hear me? Not that you want to, but can you? Okay. So having served as a member of the Paul Harris Selection Committee over the past several years, I've had the opportunity to present and bestow Paul Harris Awards on many deserving recipients. Tonight, I have the privilege of presenting our first Paul Harris Fellow, and we honor yet another very deserving member of our community. Tonight's recipient is an individual who, when giving back to the community, asks nothing in return and expects no recognition. Yet ironically, this is the second time this year I have had the pleasure of recognizing and presenting an award to my friend, Matt Desonier. Surprise, Matt. Matt thought he was here with Ed meeting an insurance friend for dinner, so surprise. And thanks to Julie and Ed, who were my co-conspirators in getting Matt here. Now, for those of you who attended the Chamber of Commerce's awards program earlier this year, I will say that fortunately for me, we're only giving out one type of an award tonight, so I won't mistakenly give Matt the wrong award. I think Betty still wants to kill me for that one. As a graduate of Bryant University, Matt has become a leader in business and in the community. With respect to business, customers of Girardi Insurance can expect to be treated with respect and as a friend. Matt's gentle nature and quiet ability to lead by example is infectious and inspires others within the Girardi organization to take an active role in their community. And he is happy to support Girardi in those organizations in which his employees have shown an interest. Shaped by great parental figures and mentors, Matt has taken the business to new heights, and Girardi Insurance continues to be an industry leader and model for other businesses to emulate. With respect to Matt's service to the community, I have had the pleasure of serving with Matt on several boards, including the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, where Matt has been a two-term president and chair of the golf committee for many years, the QVCC Foundation, and the Putnam Business Association, where Matt is currently serving out his second year as the organization's president. In addition, and forgive me because I'll undoubtedly leave something out, Matt has served or continues to serve in the following capacities: past president and board member of Westcott Wilcox Home, past chairman of the Killingly Christmas Lighting Event, as a high school basketball official, AAU high school basketball coach and athletic director for St. James School, corporator for Day Kimball Hospital, corporator for Jewett City Savings Bank, and Matt certainly takes pride in overseeing the Benjamin T. DeZonia Memorial Scholarship Fund in honor of his brother, which since 1994 has raised over $200,000, yes, over $200,000 for scholarships for Killingly High School students. I think that deserves a round of applause. And finally, I'll add that he's one hell of a celebrity bartender for whatever organization asks him to bartend. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in celebrating Matt DeZonia as the world's newest Paul Harris Fellow. Congratulations, Matt. It reads, Matthew S. DeZonia is hereby named a Paul Harris Fellow, an appreciation of tangible and significant assistance given for the furtherance of better understanding and friendly relations among peoples of the world. Congratulations, Matt.
All right.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for this tremendous honor. I've always been unbelievably impressed by the Rotary Club, especially the Putnam Rotary, and I've never had the privilege of being a Rotarian, but the folks around the room that I look at here, it's just amazing. The folks that have inspired me to kind of do my community service and do my part, and definitely the reason I'm here, starting with my parents in the back, and so many people in this room I just have unbelievable, tremendous respect for. So I really appreciate it. And I'll leave with one story, because I promised my son Luke I wouldn't talk very long. I think of one guy that I know is going to speak in a few minutes, John Miller. I'm kind of looking at here, and I'm thinking years ago when I started, I was with Dick Loomis and John Miller. We were on Gary's radio show, and we were talking about a chamber event. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but it was a really kind of snowy day, and I showed up to the radio station, and John, you remember, I was wearing rubbers on my mom always taught me you wear, if you have really nice dress shoes, you protect the shoes with rubbers. So he mentions it quickly, we get on there, and in front of all of Northeastern Kennedy, he calls me out and roasts me about rubbers. So thank you, John, for your inspiration. Thank you for the fact that I have terrible shoes for the last 20 years. And thank you for probably I had 3 kids early on. So. But truthfully, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's quite an honor, and I'm tremendously honored. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Matt. Thank you, Jeffrey. And now our second presenter, a man with a keen sense of wit and humor, and probably could be a de facto Canadian citizen. Our own attorney, Steve Adams.
But I'm not your close personal friend.
Didn't say that either.
Good evening. Although this recipient is not a Rotarian, there is no doubt in my mind that this individual has lived their life according to the Rotary motto of service above self. Born and raised in Putnam, and the oldest of 3 sons, none of whom were shrinking violets, this man has dedicated his life to serving his country and community. A graduate of Putnam High School and Norwich University, he served his country for 2 years on active duty during the Vietnam era, and then 27 years in the Army Reserves, rising to the rank of Bird Colonel. He continues to serve as the local representative for Norwich University at college fairs. He spent 30 years working for the state of Connecticut as the regional director of the Department of Labor Unemployment Office before becoming the ultimate professional volunteer. He has been very active in his faith community, the Putnam Congregational Church, for many years, having served as treasurer, and he is presently serving as a deacon while also an active member of the choir and handbell choir. He served on the board of the Grove Street Cemetery Association from the mid-1970s to the early 1990s. But what really sets this recipient apart is in his incredible service as the Uber volunteer at Day Kimball Hospital and Hospice. He began his work for hospice in July 2003. He is a patient care volunteer, the Friends of Hospice chair, and a supply courier. He bakes for events, provides staff with treats, and participates in every event and fundraiser. He has given, at last count, 2,604 hours of his time and has driven 2,544 miles. But even more, he then began his volunteer service to the hospital 4 months later in November of 2003. According to my co-conspirator, Janet Johnson, who's here with us tonight, who's our volunteer coordinator at Day Kimball, he is the volunteer office volunteer extraordinaire. He compiles statistics, notarizes advanced healthcare directives, answers the phone, assists with events, helps supervise the junior volunteers in the summer, bakes cakes for all birthdays except his own, and on and on. He is also a 4-wheel drive volunteer and picks up staff in bad weather and drives them to work. At last count, he has given 14,685 hours to volunteer services. I'm exhausted just citing his accomplishments. He is also the proud father of a son, Ross, who lives with his wife, Erica, and son, Hunter, in Arizona. And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating the newest Paul Harris Fellow in the world, Mr. Roger Franklin. I'm sorry I didn't follow part of the four-way test when it comes to is it the truth. And I had to,
Don't trust an attorney.
okay if I stick it through your jacket? I already did.
Hang on, I don't want any blood on me.
And we have the citation. The Rotary Foundation of Rotary International, Roger Franklin, is hereby named a Paul Harris Fellow in appreciation of tangible and significant assistance given for the furtherance of better understanding and friendly relations among peoples of the world. Congratulations. You get a rose, Roger. Roger, you're gonna hold it. You don't make it like that. We'll put the little sheet on top. You gonna say anything, Roger?
As I said a little while ago, don't trust an attorney, particularly that guy. This was supposed to be a conspiracy for someone else. And Janet Marie Johnson, I'll get back to. I work with a lovely lady, Janet Johnson. I tell people that she's my boss, although I really let her think she's my boss. I have a sign that proves that I'm the director of voluntary services at Day Kimball Hospital, but that's another story and I won't go into that. The reason why I'm doing what I do is because of a lovely lady that I married on June 23rd, 1962. She passed away on March 25th of 2003, having been under hospice care for 6 weeks. The people that cared for her were my inspiration. So after being married for 40 years, 9 months, and 3 days, I decided to give back for the dedication and professionalism that that hospice crew showed me over the course of those 6 weeks. And so I became involved. I've tried to quit. I've tried to get fired. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. And I will continue to do what I do with the same passion and energy that I've shown so far, as long as I am able to do that. And I thank you very much, Rotary Club, and I'll get back at you, buddy. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Roger. Thank you, Steve.
Congratulations.
Next, our third presenter. You all know MC extraordinaire, the eternal optimist, and your guy, your companion in the morning from 6 to 9, Gary O.
Thank you. Please be seated. I've had 3 conversations with Greg King since his friend Nick Haynes passed away. And each time, Greg breaks up. He can't help it. He's sad to have lost his best friend. A friendship that goes back to when they were kids. I spoke to Greg yesterday while preparing this presentation, and Greg said this about his friend, Nick Haynes. Nick always found the good in everyone he met. He always had a positive outlook. He always did right by people. He tried to please everyone. Steve Adams said Nick Haynes lived the Rotary life and kept the spirit of Rotary in all that he did, personally, family, professionally. Steve also said that knowing Nick was one of the greatest pleasures of his life. Betty Kujai of the Northeastern Connecticut Chamber of Commerce said, Nick will be remembered for his generous heart, contagious smile, and quick wit. Tim Kettle, president of the Killingly Brooklyn Rotary Club, said, Nick was a kind and generous soul whose legacy and caring spirit lives on in the club's dictionary program, a program which was started by Nick when he was president and continues today, where 300 third graders from Killingly, Brooklyn, and St. James schools receive new dictionaries every year. I thought it was interesting that even though Nick has a long list of accomplishments with specific dates and times and awards and recognition, everyone I spoke to started with Nick, the man, the person, and how much he meant to them and how he touched their lives and the lives of others in Northeastern Connecticut. We always talked about the awards last. Nick was a Rotarian for nearly 40 years. He served 2 terms as president and received the prestigious Paul Harris Award from his club in 1999. Nick was a member of the Northeastern Connecticut Chamber of Commerce for about 30 years. He served as president of the chamber in 2010, and he and Judy received the Civic Achievement Award from the chamber. Nick was also a member of the board of directors at Day Kimmel Homemakers, serving through 2017. Here's a fun fact. Nick was Commodore of the Alexander's Lake Yacht Club twice and received numerous awards and trophies for his sailing prowess. Nick was my friend for over 30 years. I called him my little brother Nick. He called me his big brother. 1 year ago this month, in June of 2017, on a night just like tonight, Nick Haynes spoke at the Killingly Brooklyn Rotary Club induction night. It was a beautiful event at Allen Hill Tree Farm. Tim Kettle was the incoming president. I was the MC. And Nick Haynes was on the program to speak for a segment called What is Rotary? His words were concise, heartfelt, and beautiful. And I thought of all the district conferences and district events and assemblies and governors and Rotary International presidents and other whom I've heard speak about Rotary. My little brother Nick, he nailed it. I asked Judy yesterday if she saved that speech. And she said, I'll check. And she checked the computer. And she called me back and she said, I found it. And here are Nick's words from 1 year ago, this very month. What is Rotary? At first, it was a weekly social gathering of businessmen. The men would take turns hosting the meeting and meal at their place of business, hence Rotary. The purpose initially was just to socialize and promote business. Founded in 1905, Rotary has become the world's largest humanitarian organization with 1.2 million men and women in 200 countries. The Rotary Foundation has awarded over $2 billion in grants. We channel our commitment to service at home and abroad through 5 avenues of service. Club service focuses on making clubs strong. A thriving club is anchored by strong relationships and an active membership development plan. Vocational service calls on every Rotarian to work with integrity and contribute their expertise to the problems and needs of society. Community service encourages every Rotarian to find ways to improve the quality of life for people in their communities and to serve the public interest. International service exemplifies our global reach in promoting peace and understanding. Youth service recognizes the importance of empowering youth and young professionals through leadership development programs such as Rotaract, Interact, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, and Rotary Youth Exchange. In reality, Rotary is much more, and more personal than that. Rotary is people helping people. Rotary is different things to different people. To our exchange student from Brazil, it was learning firsthand about a different culture through the Rotary year-long exchange program. To our son, Rusty, it was having a brother from another country. To millions of people all over the world, it is the elimination of polio. To many local college students, it is scholarships based on community service and not just grades. To Killingly and Brooklyn teachers, it is 33 years of recognition dinners for their Teachers of the Year. To parents of children in our community, it is having their children registered for the Amber Alerts. To third graders in Killingly and Brooklyn, it is their own dictionary. To people in Central America, it is safe drinking water. To me, it has been an opportunity to serve people in need, to make lifetime friends, and recognize those who commit their lives to serving others. So that was 1 year ago tonight that Nick read these words, or this month, I should say. And I think it's a poignant reminder, isn't it? A year ago, on this month, we were laughing and drinking wine and cracking crazy jokes and just having a grand old time. This is a poignant reminder. If you love someone, tell them. If they mean a lot to you, tell them they mean a lot to you. If you think they deserve an award, give them the award. And tonight, join me in letting everyone know that Nick Haynes is a Paul Harris Fellow of the Putnam Rotary Club. Judy, Rusty, Jamie, would you come on up? Come on up, please. Who wants to do it? It's Paul Harris plus one. That's good photo. Would you like to say something?
Sure. I think I can do it. Thank you. Thank you very much. That means a lot. I found out a lot of things about Nick that I didn't know. That he was, no, it's all good, it's all good. All good. Good. No, there wasn't anything bad back there. No, he touched a lot more lives than I even knew about. You know, you're married to somebody over 40 years, you think you know him pretty well. But I learned a lot on the calling hours that there were many people that came up to me that he touched their lives and I never knew it. So it meant a lot to me, so thank you very much.
I will say that I think of the Rotary as pancake breakfasts and cookouts and just people getting together in a good cause. But I will say that the one of the last conversations we had was how his award wall was filling up, and my award wall is very small. And he said, "Your time will come." And since he's passed, he's received 2 awards, and I've received none. So at some point, we're going to have to catch up, but it's great to stand here and receive this award for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Jamie, Rusty, Judy. We miss Nick, and I remember just going to, my wife and I, Mary, going to events and running into you and Nick, and he always had something funny to say. So we missed you. Our next presenter, a good friend of mine, and I'm envious of she and her husband for being retired. And I would like to emulate that at some point, but Pam Brown, will you come up?
I know I'm short. I'm just glad I didn't follow Jeff Rawson. It is such an honor for me to be here tonight to present a Paul Harris recognition to a member of our Rotary Club family. Our colleague and friend was really a Rotarian long before he was nominated and voted into membership of our Rotary Club. Not only was he a familiar sight at many of our Rotary events and functions, but he also spent almost 8 years assisting our concession chair, Randy Shimura, with all the concession events in the park. Well, I'm going to start by just saying who it is, because I'm sure you've all guessed it is Fred Shimura. Now, I don't know if he wanted to help. I don't know if that was willingly or not willingly, but he was always there and he did a great job. Well, when I was preparing to do this presentation, I realized that although I've known Fred for many years in the concession trailer and as Randy's husband, I didn't know a whole lot about him personally. So I had my research team do a little bit of research, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Fred. Fred grew up just west of us in Willimantic, Connecticut. He attended college at the University of Connecticut, and he, upon graduation, went to work for an appraisal company. Something I didn't know is that in the late 1970s, Fred came to Putnam to serve as the assessor for the town of Putnam. As part of this job, he had to meet with various different individuals in different businesses that were related to his appraising property, and he became very good friends with Leon Archambault from the Archambault Insurance Agency. Through Leon and various contacts, he rented a cottage at Alexander's Lake. And this ended up the beginning of his love affair with having property on a lake. He decided that he wanted to live on a lake and searched for different options to possibly build a house. And he found the perfect spot for his forever home at Witches Woods Lake in Woodstock, where he continues to live with his wife, Randy, today. She said that in the ensuing years, she's made a few improvements to the house because it was a bachelor pad when he built it, and she has since made those improvements. Fred left the town of Putnam when a position was offered from the State of Connecticut Office of Policy and Management, a position he held until 2003 when he participated in the early retirement program the state had with the Golden Handshake that year. Now, while he was still working, Fred also served as chair of the Redevelopment Commission in Willimantic. It was at this time that Randy was part of his life. Things were very hectic with his job and his commission work. A friend and colleague told him that he needed to give up something, either the commission, his job, or Randy. Now, we all know how that turned out. So that ended his tenure on the Redevelopment Commission. After retirement, Fred became a managing partner for Team, a consulting firm that works with governmental agencies across the country. Now, Fred's community work includes serving on the Finance Committee in Woodstock, where he also was chair in 2010. He was the vice chair of the Northeast Community Development Corporation, also known as Rural Homes. When I learned this, I remember working with Rural Homes when I was a social worker years ago, and they are the group that ended up helping to redevelop the Three Rose area in North Rosendale and Tiffany Square and Quebec Square in Brooklyn, and it was so important to the people of our community and the community itself. He's an incorporator of Day Kimball Hospital, and currently is the tax collector for the Witches Woods Tax District, where he also serves as assistant treasurer on the tax district. He's a member of the board of directors of the International Assessors Association, serving as president in 2004. Now, the year he was president, the board decided to fire the executive director. So for 6 months, Fred also served as the executive director of the International Assessors Association. With all of this, Fred has been a strong and dedicated Rotarian. As previously mentioned, he's assisted the club as the ex officio co-chair of the concession committee. He also has taken on the role as club treasurer recently, a demanding and extremely responsible job for our club. With his input, the club has established an active finance committee to ensure that policies and practices that promote good stewardship of our funds are in place. Fred and Randy have invited club members 2 years ago into their home by hosting the summer picnic and will be our hosts again this summer. For all his efforts and accomplishments, it is with pleasure that the Putnam Rotary Club present Fred Chmura as the newest Paul Harris Fellow. Award says, Frederick M. Chmura is hereby named a Paul Harris Fellow in appreciation of tangible and significant assistance given to the furtherance and better understanding of friendly relations among peoples of the world.
I'd like to thank the Putnam Rotary Club for this great honor. It's a real privilege to be a Paul Harris member of the Putnam Rotary Club. And like Pam said, it seems like I've been a part of Rotary, the Putnam Rotary Club for a very long time. My first involvement with Rotary was, of course, a fundraiser. And for those of you who are long-term members, and I won't say old members, remember the Putnamopoly? That was my first involvement. Randy had volunteered to be chair, and guess who the first recruit was? So it's been a long time, even though I've only been a member actually for the last 3 years. It's felt I've been part of this club for decades, and part of your friendship, and part of being with all of you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Fred, well deserved. I remember leaving on those few instances where I did work the trailer. Fred and Randy, I could see them out 8 o'clock at night still spraying down pots and pans and cleaning them. And Pam, thank you very much. Finally, I'd like to introduce a professional colleague, someone who I thoroughly enjoy working with in the Redevelopment and Economic Development Commission of Putnam, and then banter later at Rotary meetings, Delpa Berry.
Can you all see me? We got you. Thanks. Hey. Once upon a time, when I was a junior, it's not going to be that long, don't worry. When I was a junior in high school, I took a creative writing class. Now, I was 15 at the time. I was in college at 17 years old. So this teacher, who had been a teacher for probably 20 years, her assignment was write about something that you love. So at 15 years old, you think, teacher for 20 years, she's got to have something better than this. So I talked with my friends, and they said, you've got to do an essay of some kind of story. I said, no, I'm just going to do a list. Oh, I love sunsets. I'd love to get through puberty. I love fresh mowed grass, whatever. So I thought I would take that same approach this evening, and I'm just going to list. Kathy Nauman. It is truly an honor to be part of your tribute this evening as you receive this prestigious Paul Harris Award. I first met Kathy, or as her dad calls her, Kate, when we both served on the Teague Board of Directors. She has been an instrumental member of many boards and commissions in northeastern Connecticut. I could be her mom, but we are definitely good friends, and probably always will be. But sometimes we do have those mother-daughter talks, and we actually giggle when I have to wonder which role I'm playing. There are few that I have sponsored to become members of the Rotary Club of Putnam, and I am extremely humbled by the members they have become. Kathy, Rick Place, and Rachel. They truly abide by the Rotary test every day. Well, almost every day. None of us are really perfect, now are we? During this time when all high school seniors are graduating, we remember that Kathy, too, was a Rotary Scholarship recipient. Sorry, Gary. And her words when joining Rotary, and I quote, "I was honored to receive that fundamental financial award, and I have always wanted to give back." Indeed, she did and continues to do so. Kathy is a caregiver. Only those closest to her and her family truly know what this has been one of the most rewarding experiences a mom could ever have. Kathy knows how to wash her cell phone in the washing machine. Ask her how many times she's done that and with how much success. Kathy is a nurturer, and the definition of a nurturer is to feed and protect, to support and encourage, to bring up, train, and educate. She is a nurturer to all, family, friends, acquaintances, guests of the inn. Aren't you glad you have her, Richard? I think it's in her DNA, as the commercial says. Her daughter, Renee, is her pride and joy. Congratulations, Renee, on receiving your registered nursing degree in May. I take full credit for her meeting, dating, and eventual marriage to Richard. Full credit. When it was my induction evening, we were preparing for my party, just as it is tonight, several years ago. Kathy was working in my office, and we're all trying to get the program done, who's doing the flowers, yada yada, trying to pull it all together. And she had went over during the day and talked to Richard, and I said, Kathy, just go play with Richard. So she literally took that. Kathy is a talented, published writer, and Kathy has a nuthatch. Do any of you know what a nuthatch is? Yes. No, I just learned it myself. Her nuthatch is possessor of naturally curly hair and understanding that you can't control everything. What makes this woman stand out in our Rotary Club is her passion, dedication, and commitment, and tireless energy given to the International Rotary Student Exchange Program. Yes, we are all dedicated to Rotary in some capacity, some fashion. We all attend a meeting for a fabulous luncheon every week. That's the really hard part. We commit to taking an officer position. We may tag our name to a committee or four, and we all work hard in those endeavors. But Kathy's involvement in this international program has become a career for her. For the past 2.5 years, she has dedicated herself to advocate for students of other lands, but more importantly, she has advocated for this program and the opportunity it affords our young people of the world. I call this a calling, a career, because she has taken on this overwhelming responsibility, not on a weekly, not on a monthly, but on a daily basis, 24/7, Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sundays. By taking a test to become the student's ambassador, she is literally certified, or certifiable, to be our student's ambassador, mentor, rental agent, medical advocate, banker, signatory accountant, and transportation expert. In the sincerest partnership with our host families, Kathy has recognized and nurtured the critical foundation to make our new friends from around the world feel welcome and cared for. These high school students at the vulnerable age of 16 are leaving their families, their friends, and a safe haven for an entire year, never mind the language barrier that they have to break down. To my knowledge, the Rotary Club of Putnam has never hosted 2 students back-to-back in consecutive years since its inception. Our newest Paul Harris recipient has made this adventure a memorable and lifetime experience for our Leo and Shiho and for our club. We will never, ever know all of the time and effort that has been involved, but you should know we are very grateful. Congratulations, Kathy, for showcasing the creed of service above health. Yeah, that too. Service above self. But more importantly, I get to say you really are the newest Paul Harris recipient, and congratulations.
Guess we gotta play some more.
All right. Give you flowers. Oh, thank you. Yes. Where's the certificate? Oh, and to everybody's, for everybody's information, this is actually Kathy's second Paul Harris Award.
Okay, I'm just going to say kudos to everybody, because this is a total surprise, and everybody gave very eloquent thank yous, and kudos to you. Not entirely easy. I guess I just have to say, first of all, I'm 1 for 2 in the washing of the phones. I am beyond. It's been a wonderful year with Shiho. She has made an amazing impact with our club, and to hear our fellow members express their kind wishes to her, I know that all in all we've had a success, and that's what that is entirely about. So that makes me feel great, but I don't want to talk about that because I can't go there right now. I guess I will share that back in, I'm going to say the late 1980s, when I was a Rotary Scholarship recipient, it was back when Rotary gave one scholarship, and it was for all of the serving towns. And so I went to my guidance counselor's office and, of course, applied for all of the scholarships that I could, because I was attending Boston College, which was a small fortune. And one of 4, that's what I was going to do, was apply for scholarships. And I was selected for an interview. So I went for an interview, and it was at Putnam Bank. And I went to Putnam Bank and went into a room where there was a room full of gentlemen in suits, and here I was in my best clothes that my mother had said you need to wear for this, probably after having come from a practice of some sort of sporting event. And in the end, I was the recipient, which was actually quite an amazing thing. And when Delpha asked me a few years ago, 4 years ago to be exact, so I don't have to pay $1, would you be interested in joining the Rotary Club, my answer was a resounding yes. And it has been an amazing experience, not just because I have found a wonderful husband, but it is a wonderful group of people to be a part of. And so thank you so much for everything that you do and for this award. I am very pleased and honored.
Congratulations, Kathy. Thank you, Delpha. And I just want to recognize once again that this is the second Paul Harris Award for both Kathy and for Nick Haynes. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
So Matt, Roger, Nick, Fred, and Kathy, congratulations to all of you on your awards this evening. We are in the presence of greatness, everyone. So one last round of applause. So it is my pleasure to call up our outgoing Rotary Chair, Rick Ford. Rick, please. See, now it's getting to me. It's happening. So, you know, I had to have a fun.
That would hurt.
And I remember when Rick had his very first meeting a year ago now, and Rick has truly stepped outside of his comfort zone being chair over the past year. And I can say that he has done this with great presence. He has had no problem poking fun at himself when things go wrong, when there are little flubs like I just made. And he's always looked to the club to help lift him up when he's needed it, but really he didn't really need it because he's done an amazing job this past year, and I'm thrilled to be up here bringing you up as you get ready to pass that gavel over. Rick.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you, Amanda. Very nice. That about covers it. About a year ago, when you start this journey of being Putnam Rotary Club president, not just being a Rotary Club president, you have no idea what you're doing. They send you to training, and they tell you how you're supposed to do the job, and so you feel like you're pretty confident, you know what you're doing, but you really don't. And then you come into this club, and this club is electric. It kind of runs itself. And, I'm nervous about, we got the food thing the first month, and Richard's like running this whole thing with Fred and Randy, and it's like, what do they need me for? And I just, well, you just show up. And then that continued throughout the year as events came up, and you pick your chairs, and they just run with it, and they do their job, and it's quite an honor that they make it so much easier to be a leader of the president, I wouldn't say leader, of a great club like this with the membership. That's just incredible. And so your job is really to keep the well-oiled machine on track and keep it going in the right direction. And so I'm extremely proud to be a part of this club. We've had many accomplishments over the past year. One that I'm really proud of is that we've raised over $52,000, of which has gone to our local communities, for needy organizations, and of that 52, 18,000 has gone to high school scholars, and I think that's pretty impressive for the club. So I'd like to thank the entire membership of the Putnam Rotary Club for their support and all their hard work to make us all so successful. Any organization has a board of directors, and I was wondering if all the board of directors could come up front, and I'll do this quickly if they would come up front. I have a little statement to say. This is for 2017-2018. I'd like to thank each and every one of them for their service to our club. Richard? I don't know what to say about you. Richard was our vice president extraordinaire, soon to be our president, next after John. He's managed our communications with Club Learner masterfully. He's kept us on track with all our event signups, programs and events, plus helping me with all my deficiencies, which I have many, and especially when it comes to computers. And I appreciate that you took that on. He manages our food booth at Rotary Park for the summer. He donates his profits from his Oktoberfest dinner at the inn to our club, and many other odd jobs. And then tonight, you know, like had open bars so that I could have plenty of Bud Lights. Karen, she did all the work to allow us to apply for our district grant, which gave us $2,000 to do Rotary Park and plant the beautiful flowers that we saw this spring. And she did all the work. She did the application, she rounded up the troops, and she rounded us all up into bringing us in a few weekends to plant the flowers. And now she's going to do it again for John to finish, I think, the treks on the bandstand. And she also she runs the 220 fundraiser with Bob Fournier, but Karen does all the work.
Trying to sales.
She organizes and hosts the summer outing with Gary, but Karen does all the work. Thank you, Karen. Kathy, well, I think you've heard all about Kathy tonight, and that stole my thunder. So there's no more to say about what she's done with Youth Exchange and Shiho and Kiara and everything. It's pretty impressive and a lot of work, and when she sat next to me every Tuesday and let me know what she went through, I was scared because she was going to make me a hostess next year. So I thank you, Kathy, for a great job. And, you know, needless to say, all the work that you have to do as secretary, which you get no credit for. You know, and that's the hardest job in Rotary. And Mark, who was our last year president, and John Miller, who is our incoming president, lucky you. And, you know, I really want to thank you for all your support, your knowledge, your organizational skills, and your guidance throughout this year. Believe it or not, I went to you a lot, asked for help, and you guys were there for guidance and support. And that's really, it was important to me because you are coming in blind. You know, it's not like this is a 2-year stint. It's 1 year, and you know, you've been trying to get it for 2 years. So I really appreciate that. That really meant a lot to me. Scott, your hard work with the scholarship committee, pretty impressive. It's a lot of work. And then above that, all your volunteerism. You know, you were there for the food bank, you know, well, not the food bank, but you know what I mean. And you drive during Richard's time, and it seems like every time we volunteer, oh, plant the flowers. And that was hard, because you had to bend over to do that.
Sorry about that, I was not in
there. Paul, for all your work with Rotary, and especially at Paul Harris Award, that was a tremendous performance tonight that you put on for us, and all well-deserved candidates, so thank you for all that work. And then Rachel, you worked with the Teague Summer Program, the Holiday Gift Program, and then you started with our Meter Rotarian, which we got not enough people to volunteer to do that, but I thought it was very interesting, and it was nice to meet us individually as we put things on paper, and that was one of the things Amanda was talking about, that I talked about my Bud Light issue, and but it poked fun at me. And then finally, as our treasurer, you finally got the honor you deserved for all that work you do, and all the volunteering you do for our club, and then keeping our finances together, which we know how important that is, as Mark knows. So I want to thank you all for your support. I have little gifts for you before you leave, and I have some others to thank, but these are your gifts. And
Probably don't get bent over again. Oh,
That's right. That's why they're on the rise. Thank you very much.
No, Greek, you get the red ones.
Oh, there
Berlin boys.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much. Board of Directors for last year.
All right, well, Rick, before you go
No,
away.
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Rick finally wants to talk after all year.
I know. Well, I gotta think of everybody, I know it's quick, thank you. I wanted to thank the committee chairs. I'll actually just read them off really quickly, I won't keep you guys here all night. Jeff Ross and Rose Seal, Roberta Rocchetti, Interact, Chris Sanford, All-Star Basketball, Ron Kadir, Weekly Prayers, thank you, Ron, so I didn't have to do that. Bob Halloran, the Blood Drive, Doug Porter, the Fishing Derby, Jay Burns, Val Sal, Jay Wade, Ryler, and Sean McNerney, who operated our golf tournament, I believe, for the third year. And we raised over $30,000, and it's just a great job, and that's a lot of work. Now it's Sean McNerney, Bill Faberry for getting into Rotaract, and Joe Adeletta and his committee for all they do for the Putnam Rotary Foundation, Dick Loomis, and Keith. Is Keith still? Right. Sergeant at Arms, you're great entertainment. Thank you so much. And Linda Lemon, I wrote down some things I think she does, but she does a lot. She does marketing, she collects money, she sends out best wishes cards, she sends out sympathy cards, and I can't imagine that that includes the whole list. So Linda, that was something I learned as the new Rotary president, that you do a lot more than I ever even thought. So thank you very much for that. And Sue DeRozier, for all your work on the newsletter. I know you get no respect for all that work, and so thank you very much. I mean, every week. So there is one more person that I have to thank, and I never give her thanks, because it's just the way I am. She has stood by me for 35 years. I do a lot of things. I get involved with charitable. I don't know how to say no, and I have a lot of business endeavors. But my wife, Mary, could you come on up, please?
He always forgets about me, so thank you.
I'll apologize. I didn't forget this time. And I went and bought them and paid for them and did everything. Wow. I know, it's a shock. Well, we'll give you an award. In closing, I don't know if I did an adequate job, but I know you all did a great job with a great club like this. And I thank you for this opportunity. It was an honor and a privilege to serve as your president. So thank you very much.
something for you. From me, I have something. Wait a minute. What's in here? So I have something for you and Mary. That's for you and Mary. And Dilly Dilly for you. This is for you. So I drank this Bud Light. Now I know why they put lime, orange, everything else in here. But Rick, you did a great job. You're a true friend, and I enjoyed our talks. You helped me tremendously. I thank you very, very much. You don't give yourself enough credit. So, finally, I just want to say, Rick, Dilly Dilly.
Dilly Dilly.
Mary, let's go.
He's done. Mary, on behalf of the club, thank you for sharing Rick with us this past year. Absolutely. So we're all getting a little punchy, and we're going to let the staff here bring out dessert, and then we're going to finish up the rest of the program. So enjoy dessert.
Okay, and now our officers for 2018-19. Fred Shimura is our treasurer. I suspect he already has a pin. Our secretary is Kristen Willis. Our vice president is Kathy Nauman. President-elect Richard Nauman.
It's all in the family. Thank you.
And the 2018 to 19 term, our president, John Miller. I think we need some pictures.
John,
don't
get
we?
in there.
A quick picture here?
Get in there,
Get
John.
in there. Yeah.
All right, Gary, don't block me.
Okay, one at a time.
John, get in there. All right, all right. Let me get everything.
This one first, all eyes right here.
Paul, don't hide. Richard, don't hide.
Okay, all eyes right here on my camera face. Looking right at me. Smile, make love to the camera. Never mind, don't.
I'm an overachiever, Gary. I want to rethink that.
And now, please welcome to the stage our incoming president, Mr. John Miller.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. I'm very honored to fill the role as your president. I don't look at this as my year. This is your year, our year. And just a couple of things. I want to mention some names. If I forget someone, I apologize. Okay? Just shout your name out. I want to thank my wife, Darlene, who in August of this year, we will have known each other and been together for 40 years. And I'm only 45 years old. But thank you. Thank you. Dal's been through a lot this past 12 months, as you know. And we're just in a couple of weeks we'll be celebrating our younger daughter's wedding, so. So I want to thank Amanda Kelly for being a great MC. Thank you. And Amanda, you're the best looking MC since Dick Loomis.
Yeah, I've got that going for me.
And Rick, in that 30 pack of Bud Light, it's really only 29 because I took one out. Dick Loomis taught me that it's always polite to take one out or whatever, 6-pack or whatever. So I did that. I want to thank the induction committee. I want to thank Kathy and Richard and Lara, Kristen Willis, Linda Lemon, and anyone else who had part in this evening to make it so special. Thank you very much. And I also want to call out to Paul Harris Fellows. Matt, I totally forgot about that rubber incident until you mentioned it. Thank you. Roger Franklin. You know, one of the most noble jobs I've ever had in my life was being Director of Human Resources at Dave Kimball. And as part of that, one of my areas was volunteer services. Janet Johnson reported to me, and Roger Franklin was, I will say, Roger Franklin is the heart and soul of Dave Kimball Healthcare. Nick and the Haynes family, what an inspiration to us all. Fred Shimura, very, very well deserved. Unless you have been treasurer of the Putnam Rotary Club, you have no idea how much work and dedication it takes to do that job. So Fred, thank you very much for your help and guidance. And Kathy, I'm so happy that you told that story about being a Rotary Club scholarship recipient. You told me that story, and thank you for sharing that with all the club. I'm not sure how many of us knew that. You know, tonight marks the new year of Rotary, and hopefully you all got your pins. If you didn't, you'll get one that says, "Be the Inspiration." And let me tell you, Paul Pecora in your committee, the Paul Harris Committee, it's unbelievable how that theme came through. Be the inspiration. All of these 5 Paul Harris recipients and the presenters, so inspirational in their speaking. Thank you very much. You did a wonderful job. And if you've never noticed it, if you look at your Paul Harris pin, for those of us who are lucky enough, fortunate enough to have a Paul Harris pin, it is uncanny. Not only is our chair first name Paul Harris, if you look at the pin, striking resemblance between the two. And I just found out this evening that Paul Pecora's middle name is Harris. It's Paul Harris Pecora. It is unbelievable. I want to point out that tonight is our induction ceremony is named in the honor of Suzanne Franklin. And I want to tell a story. Yes. Talk about being the inspiration. I want to tell you a story because when I went to Pets, I really didn't know Justin Dumas. Justin Dumas, sitting back there with his lovely wife, Allison Franklin Dumas, went to Pets, and we connected, and talking. And Justin told me that Suzanne Franklin was the inspiration, the reason why he got into Rotary. Can you believe that? And as life has its ways, my dad made he refinished a chest. I call it a treasure chest. I throw all my stuff in there. And for whatever reason, just a couple months ago, I had this urge to open it up and go through. And I found the induction night program, June 25th, 2002. And that was the night that Suzanne Franklin was inducted as president to this club. And I'm going to share this with you guys, but I just wanted to share some of this with the club because I think it teaches us a lesson. That night, Gary O was our MC. Ron Kadir made the invocation. Dick Loomis said the Pledge of Allegiance. Peter Benoit handed out the Vocational Service Award. Now, this was something that I totally forgot about, Jay, until I read this, but Pam Brown gave the Jay Sinha Interact Award. Alan Bates was the outgoing president. And of course, Suzanne Franklin was our incoming president. We had, on our list of members, we had 63. 63 members. We have 59 or 60 in our club today. 39 of those 63 members are no longer in the club, most of which have passed away. And that was in 2002, 16 years ago. When we talk about the things that we have done as a club, those of us who have been around since 2002 have to realize that 2/3 of the club weren't here. We can't assume that they remember what we have done. So it is up to us to continue to be the inspiration. So when I thought about it, what I was going to talk about, we talk about engagement. And I think we have to step back from engagement and we have to talk about excitement. We have to talk about the fact that all of us need to be excited about Rotary, and we have to think about what our Rotary, this is what I call my Rotary excitement quotient. We're all at different levels. What's my goal? My goal, as in the role of Rotary President, is to increase each and every one of our Rotary excitement quotients, wherever we happen to be, high or low. And how are we going to do that? And how are you going to say, how can I be excited about Rotary? Well, let me tell you something. I was fortunate enough this semester at Quinebaug Valley Community College to teach a course called Organizational Behavior. Now, you have to know, when you're as old as I am and teaching as long as I have, around the late 1990s, every management book, every leadership textbook that you pick up has at least one chapter about ethics. In Organizational Behavior textbook this semester, when I read that chapter, the third page of that chapter was that flag back there that has the four-way test. The four-way test in Herb Taylor, and it talked about why Herb Taylor wrote the four-way test and why it was adopted in 1943 by Rotary. That's what makes us special. And that's what should excite us about Rotary, because in what organization can we say that our code of ethics, the four-way test, is being taught across the world as the keynote way to indoctrinate ethics in our students' lives, our managers' lives, and our organizations' lives? That is amazing to me. Number two, the second reason why we all should be excited about Rotary. We are part of an organization that just doesn't impact locally. Listen, we could be a Tuesday noontime group that comes together. We could call ourselves anything we want to. And we could do the impact, the great work that we do locally. But what about globally? We are part of Rotary International. 1.2 million plus members, over 200 plus countries, 35,000 clubs. We are part of a network. We are part of a network that we can be part of to do good not just locally, but globally. What other organization can we come together and do that? At PETS, there was a man who came before the group and spoke about the impact of how he felt giving a child polio vaccine. Now, all of us have given money for Polio Plus. And we feel good about Polio Plus in making that donation. But what about the impact? What about the excitement you feel if you were to give a child that polio vaccine? How would you change that life? How would it change your life? We are part of that network. And yes, we have done international work. Many of the new members who were not part of our group back then may not remember that. What I'm talking about when I say get involved and get excited is to do it. Change your life. Become excited about the life that we can change. Be excited about how it changes us. And be excited about that journey. Thank you very much.
John, thank you for those words of remembrance. As a newer member myself, I know I truly enjoy hearing the impact that Rotary has made over such a long, long amount of time, and the impact that we are going to continue to make as we move forward in the future. At this time, and speaking about years of service, you all have a beautiful plant on your table. At your table, the Rotarian with the longest amount of years of service will have the pleasure of taking that plant home this evening. So if you would take not even 2 minutes, 30 seconds and figure out who it is and just raise your hand so we can see at each table who that Rotarian is. All right, on the count of 3, if you are taking the plant home, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Congratulations. They're fighting about it over here. Everyone wants Karen to take the plant. All right, so I'd like to invite Rachel back up to do our benediction and to begin to close us out.
Okay, we're going to try a little technology here with our benediction. So, between 1983 and 1985, a famine in Africa resulted in over 1 million people dying. An American entertainer and social activist named Harry Belafonte saw a need and decided to do something about it. His plan was to put a fundraiser together to feed the starving people in Africa and hopefully put some money aside to help eliminate hunger in the United States. 45 of his colleagues assisted him in his fundraising endeavor. What started as one single person's humanitarian effort resulted in an incredible worldwide success. Within just a few years of its release in 1985, We Are the World had raised over $63 million, equivalent to $141 million today, for humanitarian causes. 90% of the money was pledged to African relief. The remaining 10% of funds was earmarked for domestic hunger and homeless programs in the U.S. From the African Fund, over 70 recovery and development projects were launched in 7 African nations, including aid in agriculture, fishing, water management, manufacturing, and reforestation. I repeat, this started as one single person's humanitarian effort. So fellow Rotarians, as we conclude this evening's celebration, remember that Rotary also started with one single humanitarian named Paul Harris, and look what we've accomplished. I leave you with a few verses of this music as a reminder of the difference just one person can make.
Trivia question. Organized. Maybe.
Bob Geldof.
Bob Geldof. I don't know.
Boomtown Rats, Bob Geldof.
And that is a member of our winning trivia team.
What a perfect can't even talk anymore. I can't even drink tonight. What a perfect benediction, Rachel. Thank you very much. What a great evening with friends this was. And in closing, I just want to say that you're appreciated in every way. So thank you very much to everyone who made tonight possible. Congratulations.
All the card in the